We are the fourth oldest law school in Australia. We were founded in the 1890s. We've had a very long and proud tradition since that time. When the university started, there was but one student and one professor. We're now a very large international organisation, and of course one of the great changes has been the number of overseas students that have come to join us, and I think this adds to the quality of the educational experience. Why study here? Well, first of all, there's a very fine academic programme with a long tradition of excellence in legal education, so we're very happy with the quality of the education. But why would it be different? I would sum it up as three things. I think we're much smaller than our faculties on the mainland. We have the great advantage of being in a small city with wonderful access to the natural environment, the mountain behind us and the river at the side, which means that I think there's a very close feeling of town and gown for the students. We're within walking distance of the city. It's very accessible and I think very friendly. I think a lot of the parents are very happy from overseas because they know that it's a safe physical environment and very supportive. I think the second quality which we have is the staff-student relationships. I think there's been a very strong tradition of staff and students taking the view that we're all students together and taking a pride in the success of students. And I think the third thing is that we've tried very hard to make sure that the facilities are absolutely first class. We've spent the time with our library. We have our systems of communications and computing skills. So those things, I think, really make sure that the student is part of the international community of legal education and legal research. A number of staff have been awarded the Leading Teaching Excellence Awards, and those are really for very flexible and new forms of teaching. For example, skills. We believe that now students should not be the passive receivers of information. They've got to be active learners, they've got to be reflective learners, and in that way we're in fact encourage them in many of the programs to become involved in the preparation of materials, the presentation of material, and actually becoming active learners. These skills are generic. It doesn't matter if you're going to become a practicing professional, you still have to work with clients, work with people, convey that sense of confidence that you can solve the problem which is there, and I think it's better to start learning that here with the support of some very talented staff. The second level, I think, is the number of opportunities that students now have for online self-learning. The nature of legal education is that many of the rules will change. They have to understand that dynamic. It's where to find the law, what to understand, and understanding the nature of legal change. We've also a very special privilege where we've had tremendous support from the profession and from the judiciary and the magistracy. This means that many of the practical skills are given by practitioners. It means that when they now become involved in presentation of moots and legal argument, they have the privilege, I think the only ones in the country, of using the Supreme Court facilities, and very likely to be judged at some times by the practicing judiciary. The university has welcomed students from the Pacific region since after the Second World War, and about that time the university was involved in the Colombo Plan and started to welcome new students from Malaysia in engineering, in education, and also in law. So we have many of our graduates who are senior practitioners in that state. A natural growth was to move forward to a special program with KDU, and we welcome about 20 students each year. We teach our program at KDU, and then they finish off down here.
KDU has a very long-standing collaboration with University of Tasmania, and we find the program very, very good for our students. The lecturers are here every year as well in an exchange program. So the program that is taught in my campus in KDU is actually a mirror image of the one here. So to me, the program between KDU and UTAS is a success story.
even if they're not KDU and they're from other parts of the world, they have again a special access program, which we call our International Student Support Program, that not only looks after their academic care, but also the pastoral care of those students. Law is principally about service to the community, and we try to instill that from the day that they enter. That means that we try to encourage them to become involved in the community. Many of them are involved, for example, with community legal centres. Recently we have had an Australian first with the training of our students to represent those with a disability in the Mental Health Tribunal. These are just examples of a broad range of community service carried out by our students. This, I think, is probably one of the most special universities with the relation of staff and student. We have a Tasmania University Law Student Society that looks after all of the social events, but it's expanded its work into representation of students. The students sit on various committees such as the Teaching and Learning. They also organise employer fairs. They organise community outreach. They do the annual magazine. They're an incredibly special group. That tradition is carried on, I think, now into a whole series of organised social events, which are really the highlight of the year. They're supported by the staff and students, and I think that's one thing which the students, when they leave, feel that they've had a great social life. So I think that's another little advantage that the smaller law school can have in a smaller capital that is not open to others.